Hey YouTube, Jim here. Welcome to Top 10 Archive. You know how French fries aren't really French, and French toast isn't really French, and how tacos from Taco Bell are kind of an abomination to the Mexican culture, and to any other culture for that matter. Sometimes we have things in our everyday lives whose origins we have no idea about, and today we have a whole list of things we see every day with surprising origins. From vending machines to corkscrews, chainsaws, and more. Find out just where these things were invented in this list of the top 10 shocking origins of everyday products. But before we get started, why not become an archivist today by clicking that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. If you end up enjoying this video, let us know by giving it a thumbs up, and in the comments section, tell us an invention you can't live without. Number 10. Vending machines. Vending machines are so common nowadays that while your high school is still selling Pepsi, Japan even sells puppies in them, though it's likely that you don't know where these machines even come from. The idea actually comes from the ancient Greeks, from Hero of Alexandria to be exact. He was a mathematician and engineer in the 1st century AD. His machine was designed to dispense, of all things, holy water. A coin would be inserted, a lever would be triggered, and a valve would let out some holy water. Something tells me this was an easy machine to hack, though. Still, I guess you've got the honor system, I suppose, because stealing holy water cannot be good karma. Number 9. High heels. Okay, this one you might have a slight clue about. High heels are a staple shoe statement in women's fashion. I mean, you have your kitten heels, high-heeled boots, your wedges, your red bottoms. How do I know all this stuff? Well, because our lovely writer, Jimena, put these words in my mouth, of course. Vote Jimena for a Nobel Peace Prize. All right, Jimena, that's enough. Anyways, back in the day, people were wearing them for very different reasons. They were protective overshoes in the Middle Ages. Usually made of wood and worn over normal shoes, they'd be worn to elevate the person above the disgusting things that you'd find on the street. I mean, with no plumbing or disposal of trash, things were just out there, thrown out of windows and front doors. Why do you think the plague spread during this time? Heels would also be worn for gripping stirrups on horses to prevent the foot from moving around or slipping off. In fact, cowboy boots still have them today. Number 8. Brandy. If you order brandy at a bar, people generally think, a person of good taste. It's not your average bottom-shelf liquor. In fact, it can go for a pretty penny. It's crazy to think about how that doesn't quite match its origins. See, the inventor of brandy, a Dutch sea captain, wasn't trying to make something for people to drink at all. He wanted to concentrate wine in order to transport it easier and lower import tax. He distilled it to remove the water and leave a more concentrated liquor, which he could later dilute and drink. Turns out, the resulting liquid didn't taste half bad. Number 7. Nike shoes. Co-founder of Nike, Bill Bowerman, is behind this particular story. He was a running coach in Oregon and was looking to invent a shoe sole that could achieve both the grip the runner needed and avoid the spikes. So, how did he think of it in the end? His answer came to him during breakfast. In his breakfast. What? During a regular morning in 1971, he was observing his waffle iron and the grooves and patterns it made. So why not make shoe soles with it? That's exactly what he did, and the shoe became a hit. In fact, you can buy a similar pair of the original shoe, the Nike Waffle, to this day. Number 6. Croissant. Are you going to be heartbroken when I tell you the one food we all pronounce in French isn't actually French? Well, grab a Kleenex, because that's the case. A similarly shaped dessert named Kipfel, doesn't quite roll off the tongue, does it? Is probably the origin of the croissant. It's mentioned in Austria all the way back in the 13th century and was created by a man named August Zang. This guy owned a Viennese bakery in Paris, Paris. So, that kind of counts as French origins, right? He made and sold the Kipfel, and the French went nuts for it. So soon, other bakeries started offering it as well. Eventually, people found Kipfel so hard to pronounce that they just called it a croissant, thanks to its crescent shape. I, for one, would have gone with moon bread, but sure, that works too. Number 5. The chainsaw. There was a very regular use to chainsaws before Scarface and Texas Murderers came around. Just kidding, it was totally morbid. Bernhard Heine, its creator, was a German orthopedist who would use the item for, well, cutting up the human body. The original device was much like the one we know today. It had sharp teeth attached to a chain that rotated, but it wasn't electric, it was manual. So you would have to, with the strength of your arm, cut up a leg. It became a very popular surgical instrument in the 19th century. Number 4. The corkscrew. One of our household favorites. Next to the Oreo, this is probably one of the best inventions in my kitchen. It was invented a long time ago, which makes sense because wine is old, right? Surprisingly, it actually wasn't made to be a wine opener. It was a gun worm used for removing unused gun cartridges from musket barrels. It wasn't even thought to be useful for wine until 50 years later when someone didn't know how to open a wine bottle. Nowadays, you see all kinds of contraptions on YouTube, from shoes to nails. The first patented corkscrew wasn't created until 1795 when Samuel Henshaw, an Englishman, incorporated a disc at the top of the screw to keep it from going into the cork too deeply. Number 3. Gum. Gum isn't just something we have for no apparent reason, or rather to spend that last 75 cents at the register. In fact, gum, unlike money, naturally have a man-made kind. It was created in 1848 by a man named Thomas Adams, who wanted to make a synthetic rubber out of natural chicle gum. The synthetic rubber could be used for tires, boots, and toys. Everything failed, though, and he was left with a limp and useless product. Now, in a way that we can only wonder about, and trust me, I often do, the product ended up in Adams' mouth. He realized that maybe he couldn't use the gum for manufacturing products, but it could be the product he sold. It was yummy, the consistency was nice, so what could go wrong? Originally, the gum he made was as cheap as 1 penny per strip, and he made lots at his very first gum factory. Number 2. Chips. The chip invention goes back to New York in 1853 when a man named George Crumb, a cook at Moon's Lake House in Saratoga, clapped back at a customer who kept sending back his French fries, saying they were too thick. Although Crumb made a thinner batch, the customer was still unsatisfied. Crumb, who became agitated with the customer, made the fries as thin as he could, hoping to piss off the patron. Crumb stood by, waiting to see a disgusted look on the customer's face, but instead was praised for making such a tasty treat. And thus, potato chips were born. Crumb went on to produce the product, which he named Saratoga Chips and Potato Crunches, and sold them in New England and at his own restaurant that he eventually opened. Number 1. Play-Doh. When you have a product like Play-Doh, you pretty much assume nobody created that on purpose. It's been around since 1955 as a children's toy, but before that, about 20 years before actually, it was sold as, wait for it, wallpaper cleaner. Who doesn't need to clean their wallpapers? The parent company also manufactured soap and was trying to find a new way to make money because they were struggling to turn a profit. Since homes were often heated with coal fires, wallpaper was vulnerable to black soot. Once gas heaters took over, sales plummeted, so they were forced to find another alternative use for the putty. And that's when the inventor's sister-in-law, Kay Zufall, found a brand new use for it in her nursery school. The rest is history. Sticky, messy history. Thanks for watching. Have you ever invented anything? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to subscribe, click the bell, and give this video a like. See ya! I'm off with my Play-Doh to clean some soot off my wallpaper. Hey Alex, can we make a t-shirt that says Play-Doh? Just saying.